Hello. It is totally understandable if you're stressed out about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving should be a relaxing holiday, but the focus of Thanksgiving is on food, and there are a lot of high carbohydrate foods for Thanksgiving dinner that can be challenging if you have diabetes and you're trying to manage your blood sugar. So, today I'm going to provide some tips and some personal stories from my experience of managing my diabetes during Thanksgiving. The biggest challenge might be, when is that turkey going to be done? When is that meal going to happen? How do I get my blood sugar right during the day without a lot of stress? So, here are my suggestions, and I really hope these ideas will help you. My strategy is often to take small helpings. I have the turkey, and then I want to taste everything, even though it has lots of carbohydrates in it. But I will make a plate for myself that has a little bit of mashed potatoes, one dinner roll, a little bit of stuffing, a little bit of cranberry sauce. My favorite side dishes: butternut squash. Some people like spaghetti squash as well. It's a great autumn vegetable. It's brightly colored and it's absolutely delicious, and it is low in carbohydrates. So that is a great choice. If you want something that is more of a mashed potato substitute, you can try mashed cauliflower with cream cheese, other kinds of cheese, or garlic. There's so many recipes out there, and cauliflower is a cruciferous vegetable, and it's supposed to be also good for fighting cancer. So it has many health benefits if you like cauliflower. Brussels sprouts is another side dish I really like. I like to cut them up and saute them, roast them. It's a nice green vegetable and it has almost no carbohydrates, very low compared to uh, the corn pudding, which has much more. And I actually do love cranberry sauce. Cranberry sauce, though, you have to remember, has a lot of sugar in it. I make homemade cranberry sauce, and it's like a cup of sugar plus orange juice. So it really is sweet. The nice thing, though, is if you do get low blood sugar, having some extra cranberry sauce is a great way to raise blood sugar because of all the sugars. So sugar and vitamin C. And that's generally, if I'm trying to raise blood sugar, if I have something that gives me something more than just sugar, like it gives me some vitamin C or something else good for me, like I like honey a lot because honey has all kinds of good compounds in it. So it's more than just the sugar, so that my body gets the sugar it needs to raise the blood sugar plus some other good compounds as well. If you want to bake something for Thanksgiving, consider using almond flour. I love almond flour muffins. There are other baked goods recipes online with almond flour. It's a great way to really reduce the carbohydrates. Another option is to look for whole wheat recipes or whole grain recipes. The added grain, if there's nuts in it, it has fiber, and the fiber really helps to reduce the spike from the carbohydrates. The most challenging part of Thanksgiving dinner meal is actually the dessert, because pie is an incredibly popular dessert, but pie has so much sugar in it generally. It's very high in carbohydrates. I like cheesecake because cheesecake has a lot of fat and it delays the absorption of the sugar that's in the cheesecake. So that seems easier to dose, but cheesecake is not always an option for Thanksgiving dessert, but maybe in your house you might have that option. So yeah, I just avoid pie now from trying pie one time, and my blood sugar was like going up really high from even a small amount of pie. So I avoid it. One really cool thing about Thanksgiving is that Thanksgiving leftovers usually have a lot of turkey left over, and the turkey can grow great on sandwiches, of course. But maybe even more importantly, turkey is a great ingredient in salads, and having a salad with turkey is a super low carb option and a great choice if you're looking for diabetes friendly meals on the days after Thanksgiving. Some other ideas for managing: if you have the opportunity to take a walk either before or after the meal, you could go take a walk with your friends or family. That exercise will really make it easier to manage your blood sugar. It's impressive how much effect exercise has. Even a short walk, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, is surprisingly noticeable on its impact on blood sugar. So if it's a nice day, that is one way to deal with the higher amount of carbohydrates you might want to eat on Thanksgiving. If you know that you're going to need more insulin, if you use an insulin pump, or if you do multiple daily injections, a long-acting insulin, you can consider discussing with your doctor about how to change the amount of insulin for a day where you eat a lot more food. I know that some people raise their basal rate. If you are familiar with manual mode and sugar surfing, which is a great concept from Dr. Ponder, you can really keep it in manual mode and do insulin boluses whenever you need and more insulin. So there's really, as long as you have insulin, and you can keep an eye on it, you can hopefully give yourself the insulin that you need to manage your blood sugar. Of course, not everybody manages their blood sugar with insulin. If you have LADA diabetes, it is something often people at the beginning stages of LADA do not need insulin initially. With some planning, you can definitely set up a day that is focused on food, but you have enough options so it's not so stressful. Vegetable trays or sorted nuts are a great thing to have out on the table beforehand. If you have some vegetables, some broccoli with some ranch dip, perhaps, that is something that can be enjoyable and not have any impact on your blood sugar. And then when you're making the meals, if you're cooking up things like yams, you can consider not adding the marshmallows, because the marshmallows, to make it candied yams, really adds a lot of sugar. That is a small change that can make a big difference in your meal for people who are managing their blood sugar. So anything to make it easier is great, but I personally do not like to impose too much on other people. So if I'm eating at somebody else's house, I'll take just a little bit of the foods that are high in carbohydrates. And then I will also make sure I have something with me like juice in case I do have a mismatch in the insulin dose or the timing of the insulin and what I'm eating. Oh, it's always a lot of guessing. Even if you count carbohydrates carefully, there's so many variables that it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it just perfect, right? There's that carb to insulin ratio of how much insulin you need from any carbs. And that can change for all kinds of reasons, depending on if you're stressed out, hormonal levels, if you're sick, if you're doing exercise. So diabetes, you sort of learn to so with diabetes, you learn that there is no such thing as perfect, but with practice and planning and preparation, it gets better. It's the carbohydrates that really have the biggest, most direct impact on blood sugar. And so that is what we focus on. How many carbohydrates do the foods have? But you have to remember that meals high in fat and protein can delay the absorption of the carbohydrates. So sometimes if I'm not sure and I'm eating a bunch, I will dose some insulin and then take a look at my blood sugar after the meal and see how I'm doing, and see if I'm under or over my expectations there, and sometimes increase the insulin if it turns out that I actually need more. Because I'm eating on a day like Thanksgiving, I'm eating a meal that is, I have not had practice with this meal. I have spoken recently that one of the ways I got my A1C to go lower is by eating the same exact breakfast like every day. So I've practiced that and I have figured out how much insulin I need. But I am only going to eat Thanksgiving one day out of the year. So I have to be extra flexible and ready to just go with the flow, essentially, of whatever happens there. For me, every Thanksgiving is a bit different. Sometimes I make Thanksgiving dinner at home for my family. Sometimes we go out to relatives' house or a friend's house and they make Thanksgiving dinner. About 5 years ago, I had an interesting experience that I wrote a blog post about, because it was for me, it was the first time where I was using insulin and a CGM to manage my blood sugar, and I was using a Freestyle Libre, and it was the model that you had to actually scan the sensor to check your blood sugar. It didn't actually do any alarms. And so I was checking my blood sugar often, and I got the insulin right for the meal, actually. But then what happened later on in the evening is I got low blood sugar when I went to bed at night. So I guess the insulin had stacked up a bit, and I had a nighttime low blood sugar incident, which at the time was the first time I ever had that happen to me at night. Fortunately, I felt the symptoms. I felt like I was shaky and such. And then when I scanned the Libre sensor, it said an alert that my blood sugar was low. And I had a juice box with me, and that solved the problem. I really encourage you to always have something with sugar on you. And for a day like Thanksgiving where you're eating so much, it's really helpful if you have something that is a liquid like juice or soda or real soda with sugar in it or juice, because a lot of times if you do get low blood sugar after you've just eaten a big meal, you probably don't want to eat any more food, right? So having a nice drink, some apple juice, is much more appealing, easier way to solve your blood sugar problem. So what are your ideas? Do you have any other ideas for low carbohydrate side dishes? What is your experience? Have you had any challenges with Thanksgiving dinner in the past that you want to share? Let other people know. I'd love to hear from you. Please comment. And if you found this video helpful, a like on it is really helpful for YouTube so that they know that I'm producing good content. And if you can subscribe, that even helps more. If you're new here, this is the LADA Life podcast on YouTube. LADA or LADA, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. LADA diabetes is surprisingly common and it's often misdiagnosed. They say between 10 and 20% of people diagnosed with type 2 diabetes actually have LADA diabetes. And it matters because the root cause of the condition of this diabetes is different and the treatment is different and the whole journey is different. I'm on a mission to tell as many people as possible about the different kinds of diabetes. And I recently did an interview with Dr. Ponder about how to get a correct diabetes diagnosis and the confusion around the different types of diabetes. Doctors will often diagnose diabetes based on appearances or age or whatever kind of diabetes that they see most commonly. And type 2 diabetes is often the type of diabetes in adults that they see most commonly. However, without specific blood tests for antibodies, it is really hard to say whether you have type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and LADA diabetes, which is a subtype of type 1 diabetes. So it's really worth exploring that, especially if you have been doing your very best to try to keep your blood levels in control. If you've changed your diet and exercise and you're taking your medication, your blood sugar is still not doing well, it's possible you've been misdiagnosed. So definitely check out that interview with him. I'm the author of Success with LADA Diabetes. I wrote this book thinking about what I would want to tell somebody else with LADA diabetes, and I tried to tell them everything about my journey to help them out. I'm now putting a lot of these topics that I wrote about in my book into videos here on YouTube. So please subscribe and also share if you're in any groups where people talk about diabetes, any forums online or in person. If you can share with your doctor, that would be wonderful as well, just to get the word out about this type of diabetes. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I use a Medtronic MiniMed 780G insulin pump. I've been quite happy about it. I have some videos about this insulin pump, but I am not sponsored by them at all. All right, thank you and have a happy Thanksgiving.